My name is Elsie Hernandez. The type of social emotional development I did research on was racial ethnic identity development during late adolescence. The reason why I picked this topic was because I wanted to have a deeper understanding of the importance in language and culture to our identity as we grow into adulthood. So, when we think about adolescence, the first thing that pops in the mind is puberty, right? But identity development also is influenced at this time, and emotional change and growth and independence as well. The world is very diverse. In many places, people speak one or more languages. Here in America, the first language is English, but the second most popular one is Spanish. According to our Census Bureau, 20% of the US population speak more than one language, and the most common is Spanish. According to Piaget, education and culture exert stronger influences on children's development. Between childhood to adolescence involves cognitive, social emotional, and biological changes. In the late childhood, they have some sense of who they are. If they're cool, popular, if they have a lot of friends, if they have good communication with peers, if they have a big personality, or if they're being well liked. Like, do you remember whenever you were in elementary and recess? You know, whenever you have like your whole bunch of friends playing tag or whatever. That's a big sense of community. You're being well liked. You're having fun. This is where you're like, oh, I'm cool. I have friends. But then we transition into adolescence. And that social emotional change that we go through is more about finding who we are independently. We're trying to either, as I said, express ourselves and try to fit in society because we are in an environment where there's more diversity and more different stuff than what you're used to in early childhood. For example, if you're more confident and you're trying to express yourself absolutely at 100%. They go through experiences for the first time whenever you're in going to that point of adolescence. We're trying to, figure things out. In this environment, we also have better friendships that become stronger. There's more awareness of what's going on and how to approach others and how to perceive others as well. Arnett, Robinson, and Lackman pointed out that adolescence begins in biology and ends in culture. Is this because we always come home at the end of the day to our culture? Is it because I come home every time to just speak Spanish to my whole family? The transition from adolescence to adulthood is determined by cultural standard and experiences. There was also another study from Lowe and Arnett, 2019. The age range from emerging childhood is approximately 18 to 25 years. In this point in their development, they are still exploring what their identity is. And there are 5 features that characterize emerging childhood. And this was concluded by Jeffrey Arnett, 2006. Its first one is exploring identity, experiencing instability, being self-focused, feeling in between, and experiencing the age of possibilities, a time when individuals have an opportunity to transform their lives. So what they want to transform to. Do you want to stay with what you're going to stick in society, what society thinks of you? Or are you going to stick to that culture identity and being proud of who you are coming from or where you're coming from? In chapter 15 of the book, page 452, there was an example of Kimchi. Kimchi, a 9-year-old who was brought to the U.S. by boat with strangers for a better life alone. This is a very scary scenario for anybody. I cannot imagine being brought by boat by myself in a boat full of strangers to pursue a better opportunity in my life, especially not around my family. Kimchi was adopted by 3 families, and she had a very traumatizing experiences, and this was happening at the age of 9. She didn't allow that trauma to bring her down and those experiences to let her down. Instead, she was a straight-A student with great opportunities in her future as she was offered plenty of scholarships. This is very common with a lot of immigrant families, where a lot of families do decide to cross the border to give their family a better education and a better opportunity. This means a lot, and as Kimchi said, she had straight-A grades because she owed it to her family. Just like what I feel, I owe it to my family, to my grandparents who came here without papers to give me this opportunity to be here doing this right now. David Elkind, 1978, describes how adolescent egocentrism governs the way that adolescents think about social matters. They're more self-conscious here. Immigrant families have many stressors at home. These stressors can affect how children grow up to adulthood. Living in an undocumented family can affect adolescents' development outcomes, like fear of being separated from their families and experiences because of the discrimination that they're going through. Issues like prejudice, discrimination, social interactions, or systemic racism and stress because of poverty can affect identity later on. I was raised by my grandparents with my mom. My first language is Spanish. In elementary, everybody spoke Spanish, and I had many, many friends. But this was because the elementary school that I went to was predominantly Hispanic. Just Hispanic. So my sense of identity at this age was strong. However, in middle school, teachers started scolding me because I spoke Spanish in class. Because of that, I was scared and ashamed. It lowered my confidence, and I realized that I was trying to hide my... Joanne Nikimbi spoke on TED Talk about her experiences with racism and how it impacted her. Since a young age, she heard racist comments and stereotypes that made her question her identity. She explained she would be mistreated by people of her own race and others. She described herself as foreign stranger. Why would she think like that? What is a foreign stranger? This means that she felt foreign to people of her own color and to people of other color. She said that she didn't feel black enough. But what was black? All these comments are coming from assumptions on her race, and it hurts people's feelings, and it questions her race. It questions our race. Joanne was just 18 years old, and she'll be stepping out into the real world with these beliefs and these thoughts about who she is. She has a lot of boxes to fit in society. There was also an article by the Franklin Post that describes that being multilingual doesn't just mean knowing another language, but instead, it's part of an identity development. It plays a role in shaping identity by connecting them to culture and community. In this one, students were interviewed about living between two worlds because they were balancing language, traditions from home and out of society. It developed a stronger sense of identity to the students. Racial and ethnic identity plays a vital role in a person's development throughout adolescence and into their adulthood. This gives them a stronger sense of cultural and ethnic identity, which promotes self-confidence and a sense of belonging. If we embrace our racial and ethnic background, adolescents can go through challenges later on as adults, very confident, with better success, I guess. Thank you so much. My name is Elsie.